Okay, class, hop in.
Seatbelts, everybody! Please let this be a normal field trip with a friend.
You know down Main Street, you're relaxed and feeling good. Next thing that you know, you see right on the magic school bus.
Okay, class, today we're going to take a tour of Grace's digestive system. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to plant ourselves on a piece of bacon from Grace's breakfast and take a tour that way. It's time to take chances, make mistakes, and get ready!
Hi, I'm Bacon. Welcome to Grace's digestive system. Where are we now?
We're in Grace's mouth. This is where the teeth physically break down food for easier swallowage. The tongue also moves around and helps the food for mechanical digestion.
The salivary glands produce salivary amylase, mucus, water, and lysosomes to break down starch. The water and mucus help Grace's food slide down her esophagus more easily.
All right, class. As Grace chews her food, it gets moved towards the back of her throat called the pharynx. Just after the pharynx is the esophagus. This is the tube that connects the mouth to the stomach. Food gets moved through the esophagus by peristalsis, which are the muscle contractions of the esophagus. These are controlled by the autonomic nervous system. I'm peristalsis.
That's right. After peristalsis moves me through the esophagus, we meet the cardiac sphincter. The cardiac sphincter is the beginning of the stomach and prevents the acidic contents of the stomach from moving upward into the esophagus. The diaphragm also separates the thoracic and abdominal cavities.
Once we're in the stomach, Grace will begin to digest many of the proteins that she just ate. This is a very long process. Food in the stomach triggers the parietal cells to make HCl and the chief cells to make pepsinogen. The HCl breaks down proteins in your stomach to prepare them for digestion. And it also kills bacteria that enters your stomach. It converts the inactive enzyme pepsinogen and into the active enzyme pepsin, which is responsible for digesting proteins in your stomach.
Pepsinogen is secreted into gastric juice from both mucus cells and chief cells. Pepsin is an endopeptidase that breaks down protein into smaller peptides. The stomach also produces gastrin, which is a hormone that stimulates secretion of gastric juice and is secreted into the bloodstream by the stomach wall in response to presence of food and breaks down the protein in the food you eat.
Together, all of us make chyme. This is the partially digested food in your stomach plus the digestive juices. It increases the surface area of your food and also stimulates digestive glands to release their secretions.
That's right. And once the food has been digested in the stomach, it's ready for the small intestine. At the beginning of the small intestine is the pyloric sphincter, which acts as a valve to control the flow of partially digested food from the stomach to the small intestine.
The sphincter leads directly to the duodenum, the first 10 inches of the small intestine. This is where chyme from the stomach mixes with digestive juices from the pancreas, liver, and gallbladder, as well as from the gland cells of the intestinal wall. This is also where most of the absorption happens in your body.
Yes. Next is the jejunum, the middle segment of the small intestine, found between the duodenum and the ileum. Most of the nutrients present in food are absorbed by the jejunum before being passed to the ileum for further absorption.
The ileum absorbs vitamin B12, bile salts, and whatever products were not absorbed by the jejunum. The wall itself is made up of folds, each one with finger-like projections called villi.
Ooh. Villi increase surface area of food, which increases the absorption rate of the nutrients and enzymes from the food being digested. They also help in food movement from the small intestine, much like the microvilli, which are fine, finger-like projections of the epithelial cells in the lumen of the small intestine that increases its surface area. Look! There's one now! Ew!
the small intestine are brush border enzymes, which we refer to as enterokinase because we're IB kids. Enterokinase is an enzyme that changes the inactive pancreatic secretion trypsinogen into trypsin. Trypsin catalyzes the hydrolysis of peptide bonds, breaking down proteins into smaller peptides.
The reason none of us are leaking out of the intestine is because of tight junctions. They prevent leakage of digestive juices from the epithelial tissue of the digestive tract. Also, notice the chylomicrons around us. Chylomicrons transport lipids absorbed from the intestine to adipose, cardiac, and skeletal muscle tissue, where their triglyceride compounds are hydrolyzed by the activity of lipoprotein lipase, allowing the released free fatty acids to be absorbed by the tissues.
Yes, and these chylomicrons are absorbed by absorption lacteals, which are lymph vessels that pick up the chylomicrons in the villi and aid in the absorption of fats and lipids. Next time you eat a burger, thank your lacteals. Let's move on, class.
Now we're in the pancreas. Look over there. It's sodium bicarbonate. The release of sodium bicarbonate from the liver and pancreas is stimulated by secretin. Sodium bicarbonate neutralizes the high acidity of chyme to a slightly alkaline pH. It is also one of the exocrine enzymes here in the pancreas. Exocrine enzymes are lipase, trypsinogen, amylase, and nucleases.
There are also endocrine enzymes here in the pancreas, trypsin and pepsin. Another important thing made in the pancreas is insulin. Insulin helps to regulate the sugar in your blood.
Ooh, there's cholecystokinase, or CCK. Fats and amino acids trigger its release, and it stimulates enzyme release from the pancreas.
Oh, wow, now we're in the liver.
Whoa!
This is where carbohydrates, retinol, calciferol, and iron are stored. The liver also plays an important role in maintaining blood sugar. When blood glucose levels rise above normal range, the secretion of insulin triggers the uptake of glucose into body cells, decreasing the blood glucose concentration in the blood. However, when blood glucose levels drop below normal range, the secretion of glucagon promotes the release of glucose into the bloodstream from energy stores such as liver glycogen, thus increasing the blood glucose levels.
That's right. Some other cool things happen in the liver too. The liver synthesizes plasma proteins, cholesterol, and LDLs. It also detoxifies amino acids by deaminating amino groups to create urea.
The liver also produces a mixture of substances and stores it in the gallbladder to make bile. Bile enables the formation of fat droplets to aid in the digestion and absorption of fats.
Now we're in the gallbladder. The gallbladder is a very important part of your system. It stores bile and emulsifies lipids. The bile is made of water, cholesterol, bile salts, which are made from cholesterol by hepatocytes, inorganic salts and bicarbonate salts, and bilirubin.
Sometimes your gallbladder may make gallstones if your bile contains too much cholesterol, bilirubin, or it doesn't empty correctly. Gallstones are hard, pebble-like pieces of material, and it can block your bile ducts and prevent you from releasing bile.
After the gallbladder comes the colon. The colon is the largest section of the large intestine. Most nutrient and water absorption occurs in the small intestine, but some remaining water and nutrients are absorbed in the large intestine. The colon also functions in the formation of feces.
Symbiotic bacteria also exist in the large intestine. They can further digest material, creating gas, and also make some important substances.
One of these important substances is vitamin K, which aids in blood clotting.
After the colon is the rectum. The rectum is super fun. It's the continuation of the sigmoid colon and connects the colon to the anus. It's the rectum's job to receive stool from the colon.
The anus is the last part of the digestive tract. It is surrounded by sphincter muscles that are important in controlling stool.
The feces exits the body through the anus. After that long trip, feces are made up of water, bacteria, undigested carbohydrate, fiber, proteins, and fat.
Well, that's it, folks.
Great job, class. After after this tour, we're now part of Grace's feces. For our next field trip, a tour of the plumbing system.